Hey guys, I did a talk the other day about the power that you've got in general in your lives when you choose to do your cold approaches as opposed to choosing to play that online game, the differences in those scenarios there. And I wanted to elaborate and build a little bit more on something that I talked about in that video. This is a very important key piece for you guys out there that are learning to do this stuff or trying to get better at it. I made a comment in that talk about learning to approach in these situations in the quote unquote right way, or in other words, try not to creep women out from the get-go. It's actually surprisingly easy to do. I feel like even if you got the best intentions, you mean well and all this kind of stuff, you're a great guy. I've just found like if you go about that first initial moment where you're physically first trying to approach the woman, a lot of times this can set the tone and set the foot off on a negative track and equate to just nothingness at the end of it all. So I just wanted to talk just to a little bit of that point about what I've observed and my tack in these situations and how I go about these things, and just give you a little bit of food for thought, maybe some things that you can adapt in your own style when you're out there doing the stuff in the world. But there's two very big pieces that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. And I think they go hand in hand. And this is just, in my eyes, how you get off on the quote unquote right foot, or at least like put your best foot forward, or at least like if these two things coupled together still freak somebody out, I think just in general that situation is lost and was never going to go anywhere anyways, and it just is what it is, and it's part about doing this stuff. But generally speaking, this has worked, quite honestly, most of the time. So the two things that I want to talk to you about is just the pace in your physical, the way you physically approach in the very beginning, and the second thing being politeness. Those two things coupled together are what I'm getting at here. So the first one that I want to talk to you guys about, I want you to think about when you physically approach somebody with your presence, okay? You need to start looking at women, especially in this sort of application of the conversation here, kind of like a cat, okay, as strange as that might sound, right? If you abruptly approach a cat, or you try to run up to a cat, or you try to sneak up behind a cat, okay, before it sees you, you approach it from the back without it seeing you. Like I said, you move in a very brisk fashion. The cat is going to be startled and freaked out and probably run in the other direction. I have observed and noticed, I think all you guys would agree and understand this, that if you do that same sort of style of approach to a woman in this real world cold approach sort of setting, the same thing's going to happen. If at all possible, always try to approach a woman from the front to some extent, at least where you're in an eye shot of her. I mean, you don't have to walk like straight on, like shoulder to shoulder to her, but I mean, like at least you're in her peripheral vision. At least you're within an eye shot of her. Don't walk up behind her and tap her on the shoulder, if at all possible. That right off the bat kind of sets you off on the wrong sort of track, let's say. And even I don't know. I think even if you startle her, she turns around, she likes what she sees, there's still going to be this initial shock. There's still going to be this weariness and this kind of weirdness and this creepiness about that sort of thing. It's just, I've found it like more often than not, it just doesn't go well. It doesn't equate to anything. So like I said, try to approach in a manner that she can see you coming a little bit, okay? But then the other thing is, like I said, when you're walking up those last couple feet, like towards a woman, like you go slow. You physically slow your gait down. You slow your pace. You approach in a slower manner physically, guys. Think about this. Physically, just slow down your emotions. Don't make any quick movements. Don't, I'm exaggerating here, but you're not going to go like flailing your arms and running up to her and just coming to a stop like right in front of her nose kind of thing. I know that sounds ridiculous and silly, but I mean, you'd be surprised, like the things that I've seen and and even the errors that I've made, like way back in the day. But just, I want you to think about that and have that in the back of your mind, that analogy of the cat, how you would approach a cat. You would do it in the same manner if you were, you were trying to pick up a foreign cat or something, and, you wanted to pick it up and pet it, hold it in your lap and all this kind of stuff. It works a lot the same way. And these are two very big pieces with regard to that how you approach sort of thing, your physical presence in that moment. So like we said, just slow down, go in slow, and don't approach from the back, okay? The second big piece that I wanted to talk about is just very plainly and simply, like, always, always, always go in very polite. Politeness in this sort of application, in this sort of sense, is worth so much. And once again, I think this is something that a lot of guys overlook and they don't think about, and they carry and conduct themselves in a different manner. And that's fine. Everybody can develop and grow their own style and do, whatever. But like I said, I'm just expressing what's worked well for me, and my approach every single time is to be as polite as possible. So you're not going up and saying like, hey, you look hot, or like, hey, like just, grabbing somebody's attention, like barking at them. Okay. You're not doing that. I'm not doing that. I always start in the same way. No matter what I'm going to open with or what I'm going to say, I always say, excuse me. Okay. A very simple, polite sort of thing to open up a conversation with somebody. But there's a difference, guys, when even that small, tiny, like 2-word thing, like being polite in this regard and in this fashion, it just, like I said, things seem to go a lot smoother. And even if you approach politely and things don't go so well, you leave politely, but you always keep it polite in every regard of the word and of the sense when you're doing this stuff. It's such a key piece. It's such a big element that, like I said, I think a lot of guys forget about and overlook, but that's been my tack. And every single time when I go up politely and, you have a cordial, polite, simple conversation, things tend to go a lot better than if you, like I said, if you just go up and start barking at somebody, like, that's just, I don't think it shows as much regard for the woman and the other person in this sort of setting, and it sets you off on the wrong foot. So just the same way that you would hopefully be polite to every other person that you're going to talk to in the same course of your day, like, would you go up and talk to any stranger, with some cheesy pickup line, or just, bark at them out of the nowhere, like, hey, like trying to get their attention, something like that? Just something to think about, and sure, there might be a way that you could go about things, like, in a polite way and using different words other than excuse me, but that's just from my tack. But it's that whole global element, guys, that I want you to think about, of the polite nature and the manners, most importantly, that you approach in these situations, and that you apply in these situations. It's such an important thing. It goes such a long ways. And I think if you guys can do both these things that I'm talking about, these two things coupled together are going to get you off on the right foot. And then once you've broken the ice, yes, there's some work to do to learn to develop your conversational skills, and to learn to, like I'm always saying, guys, like, listen to what she's saying, like, feed off those bits and pieces she's giving you, make a little small 5-minute conversation. If you get a good read on her energy, then you can move in and make your move and try to get her contact information and hopefully see her again. And it's as simple as that. But like I said, I just wanted to talk to you guys about the very first couple seconds when you interact with a woman in this regard. It's so important. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you real soon.